What's going on, guys? Today we are joined by the one and only Belal. Remember the name Muhammad, fighting for the UFC gold at UFC 304. Thanks for being on, brother.
Appreciate you for having me out there.
Yeah, we're excited to be here with you because the next Palestinian champion is sitting right in front of us, bro. It's pretty exciting.
It's epic, right? When you say it, it just like it still got to hit you that you're fighting for the title.
Yeah.
Because you know when you get those Facebook memories like 10 years ago, 2 years ago, you're looking at it, you're like just the dumb statuses I used to put up. But yeah, I mean, I believe myself back then. Now here I am.
When you look back at the journey, it's probably the coolest part where you started and compared to where you are right now.
Yeah, 100%. Because when I started, like you believe, yeah, I could be a champion, I could do this, but then like it doesn't really hit you that it's possible until you get within arm's reach, right? I had moments where I wasn't even close to no ranked guy wanting to fight me. All these guys kept saying no, they kept turning it down, and then all of a sudden, all right, we got one, we got two, we got three. Then you get a streak, then you lose one, then you're like, dang, it takes you back like 2 years. Then you get on another long streak, and you're like, I can't mess up again, I can't take a step back. And then you're right by the door, and then they offer you a super short notice fight against Gilbert Burns. You're like, 3 notice, turn up on, do I want to risk my 5-year streak on this 3 notice fight? But then they tell you, you win, you fight for the bout. And then you're like, all right, well, this is what we waited for. We went all in. We went out there and won. Now here we are.
Yeah, now, and that Gilbert Burns fight was, I think, probably your best performance today. And the Sean Brady fight was amazing too. But when I looked at the Burns fight, something I thought you did really well was you were constantly switching stances back and forth. You were blessing that body kick when you were in southpaw. I mean, is that something you're just evolving your game more and more, where it's with fighting out of both stances, it's giving a lot of people problems?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually naturally lefty, but my coach, Lewis Taylor, I know this from high school. Like, when I first started fighting, he's the one who taught me how to do it, and he's a righty. So, like, he just taught me the way that he know how to fight. And then with that fight, we went into that fight with, like, a twisted ankle. So we had to do that, make that adjustment of just switch the stances in general, because he's a calf kicker. So I know if he went to one of my ankles, it would, like, mess me up. So I was just, like, trying to do it to get more weight off my foot.
Yeah, for sure. And when you look at Leon Edwards, obviously his last performance against Colby Covington, something really that wasn't impressive. I mean, what did you make of his last 2 fights in general? I mean, obviously he gets the head kick against Usman, wins the rematch, and then beats Colby. What was your thoughts on those 2 fights?
I mean, you really can't take a lot off of that Colby fight, because it was like Colby looked like trash. He didn't fight good at all. And then Leon threw 50 strikes in a 5-round fight. And then somebody disrespected your family, your father, that way, and you're going to come up with this attitude, I'm going to kill you in the cage, and you go out there and you throw less than 50 strikes. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. But for the Usman fight, obviously, threw that Hail Mary and then second won that fight that way. The third Usman fight, I think, it was more so Usman didn't fight the way he should have fought. Usman was like hesitant. When you get knocked out, it messes up your mind, especially for Usman, who's dominant. Then he got knocked out. Then he fighting the guy rematch. Like, you think it's going to be okay. Yeah, I was killing him anyway. I was going to do the same thing. But when it gets to the fight week, fight day, you're like, man, he's going to knock me out again. Am I going to go to sleep again? Something. If you have all those thoughts in the back of your head, I think Usman was just, he should have took more time off before he took that fight.
Yeah, and you mentioned having those thoughts in the back of your head. Obviously, you lost to Vicente Luque and came back and absolutely dominated him in a 5-round fight. Can you talk about the mental struggles that you faced coming into that rematch, where you were like, okay, how do I have to overcome this?
Yeah, that was like one of the biggest like hurdles, because you're like, they offer you that fight, you're like, all right, I'm down, let's go. And then once it gets closer, you're like, man, what if he is my kryptonite? What if he just has crazy power, he puts me to sleep? If I lose to him twice, then there's no way I'm ever going to fight for the title. And that's like the hardest part. But then you get in there, you get after the first round, you're like, all right, now I'm comfortable. I took one of his hits, I'm good. Then it starts, all right, now we're getting more confident. And after that fight, that was like one of those fights where I'm like, all right, I could be champion now. And getting over that like week, I would say, of just like people showing you the replay, telling you all the emojis on freaking Instagram, still showing you getting knocked out. You're like, man, I cannot let this happen, because all the trolls are going to just do it again. They're going to say it again that you suck. So that one right there was probably one of my biggest fights to get over.
For sure.
Does that ever get to you? Like, when you see shit like that, where people are kind of trolling you and it's like they're talking shit to you like that, like, is it easy to get past that for the most part, or does it kind of take a little toll?
No, I mean, I don't take no toll at all. At first, I would sit there and I would read the comments, and I have a group I would text to my boys, like, dang, look at this one right here. And it'd be like, bro, you suck, you look stupid. And it's like, it's funny to me. I don't really care about it. And it's when you actually see these people in person, it's like the real trolls, how they look, then you just like, you feel sorry for them. Because it's like, the real fans, the real people, they're never going to like disrespect us to your face.
100%.
But then you'll see those random like losers that are like over there at the other end and they're like, you suck. And then it'll be like some freaking slob.
I remember you were at some UFC like fan event, and then there was those two guys on the mic that were talking, and I'm like, wow, that's exactly how I would picture those two guys to look like. And are saying it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, you see them.
Yeah,
Right? That kid, he looked like freaking
bro,
a skinny weirdo. And I was just like,
people got to go back and see it.
yeah. But that's the day and age we're in, right? Now, because like to be a fighter, you have to interact with the fans. You have to give them that moment. It's not like the NFL where you barely know how any of them look because they all have the helmets on. And like they're all millionaires, so they don't care what you think about them at all. But us, we have to go to these events. We have to put our faces out there because you fight one week and then there's another fight next week. So your fight's already forgotten about. So the only way to stay in their head is through social media, through social interactions, seeing them, being in front of them. So you just got to put yourself out there. But I mean, if you're not doing anything, nobody's going to be talking about you. So I mean, if they're talking about me, it's a good thing.
For sure. And I think going back to, the fighting, one of your biggest strengths to me is your fight IQ inside the cage. I think there's a lot of fighters that are strong and can win fights, but, don't have the fight IQ to win fights. And your pet's victory, you're able to find ways to win, and you showed it in the Stephen Thompson fight. You showed it in the Gilbert Burns fight. And I think when you go to approach a fight, what is your main things that you're doing? Are you breaking down a ton of film, or what are you doing fight by fight?
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest keys, I think, to victory. When I first got into the UFC, it was just like, let's go in there and fight. Now it's more so, it's a strategy because all of us work hard. I do 3 sessions. I lift weights. I eat right. I do this. But what's going to separate you from everybody else is the little things. I have to be a different fighter from the last fight. I have to show something else. Because if you don't, these other fighters, these guys have been doing this since they're 2-3 years old. They're going to figure you out. They're going to figure out your rhythm. So for me, I started super late. So now it's like I do nonstop studying. I'm watching fights all the time. And then when I have my opponent, I'm like, what is he weak at? We're going to exploit him in that way. Because I'm good enough everywhere in all aspects of MMA where I can fight you anywhere. So if you want to grapple, I can grapple. If you want to strike, I can strike. If you want to wrestle, I can wrestle. So I can do it all. And there's not a lot of guys that know how to do it. They're specialists, right? There's Alex Pereira. Oh, he's a knockout artist. He's a striker, but like, then I fight a wrestler. Wrestler's going to take it now to dominate him. But they really haven't given him a wrestler. Or guys who fought him, they wanted to strike with him. And it's like, I don't need to prove myself toughness. Like, I could take a shot to the chin. It's like, no, if I'm going to fight you, I'm going to take you down. I'm going to wrestle you. If you're a grappler, all right, I'll stand and bang with you. Gilbert Burns, Deshaun Brady, both great grapplers. It's like, all right, well, let's stand at the feet. I didn't take one shot on either one of them guys. They both shot at me, and they could have taken me down.
Something a little bit different. What got you into fighting? To me, if you're a fighter and that's what you want to do for the rest of life, you got to be a little crazy.
Yeah.
So what originally gets you into fighting for a career path?
I mean, when I was younger, I was a little bit crazy. I would get into like street fights all the time. You're going to Chicago, we play ball, and I was like a big trash talker. So I'm like, we're always fighting. And then like one of my best friends was like, he was smaller, so he's like had that little man syndrome. So anytime we were going anywhere, he started fights people, and I got to jump in because it's my boy. So I was just had that mentality, always have his back. And then went to college. I wasn't even thinking about fighting, but my old high school wrestling coach, Lou, I just randomly saw him in a newspaper one time, and he was fighting for Strikeforce. And I just like slid in his DMs on Facebook because I was like, man, whatever happened to this guy? He was like one of those cool coaches. They were like, you had to become friends with it. So I just messaged him on Facebook. He's like, yeah, I'm at this gym right here. Ended up being near Midway. And so whenever I'll come home for the weekends to visit my family, I'll just like drive over there. He'll teach me a little bit here and there. And then I was just like, whenever I do something, I just get like obsessed with it. So like if I'm going to school, I'm going all in. If I'm playing basketball, I think we'll make that NBA. If I'm lifting weights, I want to be a bodybuilder. So then when I started doing that, it was like, I got obsessed with it. I wanted to do it. And then it honestly like calmed me down that I was like taking all my anger out on the bag or just like sparring and stuff. So it made me more a calm person. And then when I had my first amateur fight, you get your hand raised is like no better feeling than like winning.
For sure.
Because you put the work in. It's only one-on-one. Only one man could win. And it's like, you can't blame it on a coach or this or that. It's like, if I lost, it's on me. If I win, it's on me.
That's fire.
Yeah.
For sure.
And, coaching is something that I've seen you kind of do more recently. I mean, you coach a lot of your teammates, and especially even on like the regional scene, I've seen you at regional fights, coaching your teammates up in big spots. Is that something you want to do post UFC career? Maybe open a gym and do a ton of coaching and helping fighters achieve their dreams?
Yeah, I mean, I think more so for me, it's like I had good mentors behind me whenever I started. Like my coach Lou, he'll show me the right path, show me the way, what to do, what not to do. So for me now, I train with a lot of younger guys. So I'm like, want to show them the right path, show them the things, because I've been through a lot of it. I've had the highest highs and the lowest lows. So I know what works and what doesn't work. I work with some of the best coaches in the world. And I got like what their mindset was, what their stuff is. And I bring it back home to Chicago to like help my guys out, the younger guys, younger generation. And when you're a coach, like you break stuff down differently. You have to learn the technique to teach the technique differently. For me, a lot of the times when I do stuff that I don't really like, they'll be like, oh, dang, how did you do that? That was a beast. So then when I break it down step by step, it makes me better at that anyway. So like when I start teaching, it makes me a better version of myself because now I'm like, all right, oh, this detail is what makes it better for me. So I'll tighten that little thing up because I'm teaching it. And of course, I mean, everybody wants to be a coach, but there ain't no money in coaching unless you find that Conor McGregor or somebody. So a lot of it's just like, yeah, I'll open up a cardio kickboxing gym or UFC gym, something like that where money will stay steady. But like the amateur fighters, the pro fighters, there's not a lot of money in the game unless you really make it. So that's why I tell a lot of these younger guys, like, I want to be a fighter. Should I be a fighter? What do I got to do to be a fighter? It's like, you just got to be willing to work hard for nothing. Work hard for just like your own pat on your back. Because at the end, when you're jogging, when you're running, when you're lifting weights, when you lose, all those people that were cheering for you when you won, they're not going to be there for you. It's only going to be you in your head by yourself thinking like, this guy's making fun of me or that guy's making, am I going to be reading all these stupid comments? Like, nah, I'm doing it for one goal I have in mind. I had the vision. You have to go tunnel vision to that vision no matter what the outside's telling you could do, you can't do. And it's just all in your head. You have to be the toughest person in the world in your own head.
Yeah. Going to the money aspect of it, do you feel like you have to be a bigger personality or a shit talker? Like you have McGregor, who's a bigger personality. You have Covington, who has a bigger personality like that. Do you feel like you have to do that in order for more eyes to be on you, for more money to come in?
I mean, of course, there's more money when you go that route, but it's like, I hate guys that fake it, guys that just like do it. It's not authentic because I feel like people could read it and they could see what it is. I think if I had one of those fights like against a Kobe or a Conor where there'll be a good build-up and it'll be a fun back and forth, you'll see that side of me and it'll be a funner build-up and I think the fans will like gravitate toward it more. But a lot of the guys that fought were like really nice guys that you really can't talk trash to. So it's like, am I going to talk trash to Wonder Boy? Like, oh, Wonder Boy, you suck or this. Like, There's really nothing to come back with. Even Leon doesn't really talk. Leon doesn't promote himself, doesn't push himself. So even when he fought Kobe was doing a lot of just like saying crazy stuff, but he wasn't getting a reaction out of Leon. So it was like talk to yourself. So you got to take those super low blows like Kobe did, talking about his family and stuff. And it's like, I'm never going to go that low for money or anything.
Well, what's interesting, like, and you mentioned how Leon doesn't really talk, but I feel like in this fight in particular, him and his coaches and his team kind of had a lot of like shit to say, like in general, just coming at you like, oh, he doesn't deserve a title fight. And I mean, you're a guy that's on what 10-fight win streak now. So it's like, how do you feel about that when you see his coach being like, oh, I don't think we really need to fight him again, even though, you know, the guy poked your eye and the guy has just constant fouls, you know, even against Usman, he got a point taken away. So it's like, it's interesting when you look at it. I don't know.
It's funny. I mean, it just tells me that they don't want to fight me. They're afraid to fight me. They saw something in the first fight they didn't like. They saw something now that they don't like. And I said, I'd rather talk trash to his coach. Let his coach go on Twitter. We'll go back and forth because Leon is not fun to go back and forth because it just sounds dumb. He looks dumb. His coach, let him be at the press conference. I'd rather have him go up there, his brother go up there, and we'll go back and forth. Like, I want somebody witty. I don't want somebody that's freaking whispering.
Now when you lead up to a fight, and I want kind of the general public to know, the referee, you know, whoever it is, let's say like Herb Dean, he comes back to you before the fight, he explains to you all the rules, and do you get to voice your concerns before the fight of, hey, you know, watch out for the grabbing the fence, watch out for the eye pokes? Is that something that you'll talk to him about?
It's literally funny because we actually talked to Herb Dean about the first Leon fight that he does this a lot.
Yeah.
We said it back there, and I asked literally the UFC because they had somebody recording you in your main event the whole time. I was like, bro, where's that tape at? Because we brought it up to him beforehand. We said he does this because we watched all of his fights. He poked RDA super bad in his eye. And for me, I've had eye surgery, so I had bad eyes my whole life. And then they're like, oh, you know, we don't want that. It was like they were like, oh, somebody else recorded it, blah, blah, blah. We'll see if we can get you that tape. And I'm just like, bro, it's so fake. But yeah, you could voice it to them, but at the end of the day, it's just what they say about it, right? if they think it's egregious or not. It's just based off of what that ref said. A different ref could have looked at it and said, he poked you in the eye in the first round, second round, he poked you again, and the fight's ended. That's a disqualification.
Yeah.
But her team decided not to. But there's other refs that for sure would have.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's interesting about that is like, okay, if he has, and this is in general in the UFC, obviously they switched to new gloves, but it seems like it's not really working because there's so many eye pokes even in general. We saw it last week and the weeks before. But is there something you would do different where it's like, hey, one eye poke, it's a point? Is that something you would agree with? Or how would you judge it going forward?
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Just so people would stop doing it. And I've never poked anybody in the eye in any one of your fights because you close your fist. You practice that way. You train that way. And I just think that these guys, they're obviously not, they're training with boxing gloves on most of the time. So they need to start training with MMA gloves on because if you poke your training partner in the eye, you injure them, it's like there's no insurance for that. Like, so you're not going to do that. So I guess when these fights come on, these people don't care because they're training with bigger gloves on. So it's just going to make them, you get a point automatically taken. Now it's going to make you train that specific way. You have to train that skill. We're learning so many skills of you have to do this jiu-jitsu, you have to do this. Closing your fist should be a skill. That should be all right, he figures out little scrape, little anything, point away. And that'll make a lot of these guys stop doing it, guaranteed.
In the future, God willing, you have kids, and you're talking about all these different things that you go through. Would you ever let your kids become fighters?
No, I mean, if they wanted to, but I want my kid to be in the NBA. So it's I'm going to put them in baseball, soccer, anything else. Obviously, I want them to know how to fight, learn how to fight, but you have to be, like you said, you have to be a little bit crazy to be a fighter. You have to have that switch in your head that you're different from everybody else. And I think that, nobody wants their kid to be that way, but I'm pretty sure my kid's going to be a little bit crazy. So who knows? We'll see.
Hopefully, I mean, you grew up in Chicago, man. CPS, man. It's not easy going to Bogan, man. Bogan's not the sweetest school, you know what I mean? So you definitely got it.
Yeah, and I think that's why, because where I'm raised, where I grew up, you had that mentality, right? It's either fight or flight, and it was always fight. So I think that just growing up, it just built you into that. So now when I'm a fighter now, it's like, cool, it's just natural to me. There's not like, even when I'm in the back, I'm more chill than anything instead of like more nervous than anything. And beforehand, I would like look at guys that like, they seem hype up, and I would like tell my coach, like, should I start getting hype? And I was just like, start hitting the wall, but it's like out of character. And my coach was like, bro, you don't need to, like, save your energy for the fight. Like, what are you hitting the wall for? And I was like, I don't know. These guys like talking to, like, trying to hype themselves up. I think I should be doing that too. Dude, that's a skill that you had that you're not freaking going crazy back there. You're saving your energy. You're calm. That's the best thing you got.
Something I found, interesting about you is the amount of people that you train with. So like you train with coaches all around the world. I mean, you trained with Javier Mendez, you trained belly flow striking, Rufus Sport in the beginning. You started with Chicago Fight Team as well. But do you think it's beneficial to fighters to just go to different camps and see what they can do and learn new things? Does that help you a lot?
Honestly, I think that was like the key to like everything I do, because I take a lot from all these coaches. I trained with, like you said, Duke, Mike Valley, Louis Taylor, Henry Hooft, Safe Salud. I went to Frost Hobbies camp. And just even nowadays with social media, you learn so much from like videos these guys post, mentality these guys post. Eric Nixick from Extreme Tour, I'll like call them, message them, ask them like, hey, what do you think about this fight or that fight? And he'll break down stuff. And if I'm on the same page as all these guys, then I know I'm doing the right thing. Or I'll send them videos or I ask them, what do you think about this technique? And even when I just like see them in person at like these UFC events, just talking to them. Because a lot of guys nowadays where they think it's like, my team against your team, it's a gang. And it's like, no, it's not a gang. We're all fighting for the same thing, right? We all want to be the champion. It's like, at the end of the day, you're the one that's in the cage. So if you have that coach that's telling you like, you can't go to that coach because I know everything, just listen to what I say, then you're in the wrong spot. But if you have that coach like, oh, what did you learn from him? Now I want to learn from what you learned, and then it'll make us all better. And I think that's what my mindset is. And all the coaches, all the people I put around me, they love that about me, because like I'll go train with Habib and then I'll bring something back and it'll be like, we're all doing it the next week. I'll go learn something from this guy. He said this. What do you think about this? It wasn't that. It doesn't work. All right, well, just throw it away. It doesn't really mean nothing to us. But I'm going to listen. I'm going to see what your thoughts are about this or this skill that you showed on Instagram. Let me try it. If it worked for you, maybe it'll work for me. If it doesn't work for me, all right, well, at least we have it in our mindset. We saw it before.
Yeah, and another thing, you're one of the fighters that fought multiple times in the Apex and then fought multiple times just in front of fans. Is there an advantage for you? Do you feel fighting in the Apex as opposed to fighting with the crowd? Because like you could listen to those coaches and do what you do, or would you rather fight with the fans?
I mean, I'd rather fight with the fans just because it's a different energy. But the Apex, it was cool because, you know, it's different. It feels like more like sparring because there's not huge crowds and not a lot of noise in there. You could hear everything the coach says, but you could also hear everything the other coach says. And then sometimes other coaches start reading that and they'll say random stuff out there. So then you start thinking about it like, is he lying to me? Is he not lying to me? And then the worst thing you can do in a fight is think. Once you're in there, you thinking, you're going slower. Everything should just be like a natural reaction. And that's even when you said like, do you watch tape? Sometimes you watch tape, but then you don't want to sit there and obsess with it because it's like, I think he's about to throw this left kip right now. If he doesn't throw it, then what do I do? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? And when it should just be about naturally what you want to do. Just react to what they're doing instead of thinking about what they're about to do.
For sure. So training camp is obviously not easy by any means. There's got to be days where I'm sure you don't feel like getting up and doing what you got to do. What's your outlet for those bad days that you have where it's like, man, I don't want to do anything today? How do you get yourself to just kind of keep going? Or how do you get yourself on, even when you're not training, like on those other days where you like, what do you do just to kind of get your mind at ease?
Honestly, my biggest thing about like, I'm sore 90% of the time. It's tired. I don't want to get up and train. I got to go train again right now. And it's like, for me, it's more so about just proving everybody wrong. Because there's so many people that want to see me lose. So I know that all those people are cheering against me. And it makes me want to, all right, now I got to just push hard. I got to go a little bit harder. We'll go one more extra session. It's fine. Because at the end of the day, like right now, the fight that I had, this is a Super Bowl. There's no best of 7 series. There's no like, all right, we'll see what happens tomorrow. This is all in right now. So I got to make sure that I left no stone unturned. And this is the fight where like you let all the freaking bullets out of your chamber. Yeah, right. And I don't want to have no regrets. And I go into every fight with having no regrets. Like I should have did this or I should have did that. So that's why I just wake up every day knowing that we just got to go hard.
You talk about proving people wrong. So you have a lot of trolls, obviously, that come and they talk shit. We already talked about it earlier. And you've seen what these trolls have looked like. How many of these trolls do you think you could take at one time?
I would say at least close to 50.
50?
Yeah, I would say 50.
Like, if it's those builds, I honestly agree with you. From what we saw from when you were out, and I think it was England, I don't remember where you were, but you had that event, and then they were on the mic, like in the crowd.
Yeah.
And it was just random stuff. But
no, it's like when you see these people in person, but like, that's why, because you don't have to show your face on Twitter, right? You don't have to show your thing. You can say whatever you want. That once you get that reaction, that's a win for them. He blocked me. Yeah, what a loser. He blocked me. And people are cheering for that. But you're like, you get it now. Because I have some of my boys that are like, send me messages like, yo, look what I just did to his face. And I'm like, bro, you're one of those? You're that guy? But it's funny, right? Because always the guys that don't know how to fight, they are the trolls.
It's crazy. I want to switch to a little fun topic. What do you think of Mike Perry and Jake Paul just got announced? Are you a fan of what the influencer boxing scene has kind of become? And who do you like in that fight? Because I think that's a real interesting fight.
Yeah, I mean, for guys that take it serious, right? I think Jake Paul takes it serious. And he's bringing attention to the sport. He's bringing eyes to it. Anybody that brings eyes to combat sports in general, I'm cool with. Because I don't think it's, at first you're watching it and you think, oh, it's fake. He's fighting Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson looks tiny. But then, all right, well, he beat Ben Askren, who really wasn't a real striker at all. Then you're like, right, well, then he beats Nate Diaz. Then he beats Anderson Silva. You're like, all right, well, he's legit. Then he starts fighting real boxers and nobody cares. So you have to fight his biggest thing is you have to fight these other guys with attention, the social media following. Now Mike Perry, I think this would be a real fight. Jake looked huge the other day when he was jogging. Mike Perry is not that big. Mike Perry hits like a freaking tank. I'll be sure to see how that one goes. I think it's going to be a really good fight. But it just comes down to like what type of shape Mike's in. He's been doing that bare knuckle boxing right now. Now you got to wear 16-ounce or 8-ounce gloves, 10-ounce gloves. And Jake's been training for that. And he has all the money in the world. I'm pretty sure he has all the steroids in the world too. So it's just going to be like what type of shape Mike Perry's in.
Is that something that you'd be interested in?
I mean, anything that pays you money, for sure, I'll do it. If you're going to pay me that type of money, yeah, I'll do it 100%.
The bare knuckle scene's crazy, man. Like looking at those fights, it's just so brutal. Is that something I mean, have any of your teammates ever done something like bare knuckle or would want to do something like that?
I know a couple of my guys that done it, yeah. And like, I mean, the biggest thing is like you actually don't punch as hard because when you have gloves on, you think you have protection, so you let loose more. But he said that like without the gloves, you don't want to throw because you get your hand broken right away easily. The biggest thing is you get a lot more scratches, cuts on your face because it's just like we're skin on skin, bone on bone. But yeah, unless they're paying big, I'm not gonna do it. But if you're paying like Perry money for sure, I'll do it. Yeah,
For sure. Before we finish up, I wanted to give you something special before this fight coming up. You could grab that. So we need to support our Palestinian brothers over here. So something I got from one of my guys. I think you'll like.
dang.
You want to check it out? Open it up.
Oh wow, dang, these are sick.
Yeah.
Dang, these are hot.
So now you got something. Maybe if you want to rep, anytime you're out.
My brother, appreciate you.
Got you, bro. For
Thank
sure.
you, brother.
Hey, best of luck on the fight. And
Thank you, brother.
brother.
These are hot. Appreciate you, bro. Dang, these are sick.
well, custom.
Hey, man.
Shout out to
They
Lil
sell
Nas.
these or these custom?
Yeah, custom. They just recently came out with their brand where they're selling these now. But shout out to Hype Town and my guys over there.
Appreciate you guys.
So yeah, and man, overall, I think it's gonna be a real interesting fight. Inshallah, you're victorious, and I can't wait to see it. We'll be out there rooting for you.
Appreciate it. You're gonna be out there?
Yeah, I'll be out
Let's
there.
go. Okay.
Be out there. So
Solid, brother.
That's your
Appreciate you guys.
Hey, you got the whole country behind you. You got a bunch of people out here behind you. You got a bunch of people rooting for you, bro. I look forward to seeing you victorious at the end of the fight, my boy.
Thank you, my brother. We will be, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you all for joining us today. And until next time, we'll see y'all later.
Peace.
Take care.